Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. Today's video I'm going to be testing out loads of makeup from the brand Lottie London. They kindly sent me a bunch of different products to try a few weeks ago, so I wanted to try them out for you guys and let you know what I thought about them, give you a little bit of a review. I've never tried anything from this brand before, so I'm really excited to see what it's like. I feel like I am a little bit late to the party with this one. I think this brand has been out for at least 3 years or so now. They are a drugstore brand. They are on the more inexpensive side, which is really nice. I tend to only use high-end makeup at the moment, so this is a nice change. As I said, all of these products from Lottie London were kindly sent to me. This video isn't sponsored, so all of the opinions are going to be completely my own. As always, everything is going to be listed and linked in the description box below, along with all of my other social channels that you can follow me on as well. Before we get into anything, please be sure to hit the like button. It really does help me out. Let me know what you thought to the video in the comments below, and feel free to subscribe to my channel as well. And if you'd like to see what I thought about all of this makeup from Lottie London, then please keep on watching. Okay, so I've zoomed you guys in a little bit because we're going to be starting on eyes first. So I've already done my brows and my eyeshadow base off camera because I don't have any Lottie London products for my brows or my eyeshadow base. The eyeshadow palette that I'm using is the Lottie London 9-piece eyeshadow palette called The Rusts. This, sadly, when it arrived, this shade here has completely shattered. So the whole eyeshadow palette is completely covered in that eyeshadow shade. It's all crumbled around it. That was one thing to note, is that even though it was in bubble wrap, it didn't travel very well. Sadly, this is what we're working with. I just want to reapply a little bit of my eyeshadow base because it has gone a little bit dry, and I'm just using a little bit of my P. Louise base in the shade number 2. I also mixed this in with a little bit of concealer. So from the palette, I am leaning more towards the warmer side here. I also have a metallic eyeshadow topper that I wanted to use as well, which is in this kind of warmer shade. So I think I'm going to go with that warmer tone from the palette today and then use the topper with it. I'll just show you a few swatches on the screen now. Starting from the top left-hand corner, we have the shade Crave. Then the middle shade is called Fire. The shimmery shade was called Flex. In the middle at the top there is the shade Heat. In the centre of the palette that is the shade Luxe. Then we have the shade Bare. Top right is called Burnt. The middle of the right column is called Revenge. And then the bottom right is called the shade Raw. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the shade Raw, which is that kind of, it's like a bronzer type shade. And I'm going to pop this through the crease just on a blending brush. And I just want to work this through the crease just to kind of give myself a little bit of definition. It's not a super pigmented colour. I feel like if you wanted this colour to be a little bit more prominent, you would have to build it up a lot more. But I'm kind of wanting the shade to be like a mid-tone, just to go through the crease, because I'm going to have it quite dark in the outer corner, and I just want this one to blend into the beginning of my nose contour and then also my temples where my bronzer is going to go later as well, just so it's more of like a seamless blend. So far it's blending really nicely. So far there seems to be no fallout with this shade, and there's not a lot of kickback in the palette either, so every time I'm dipping that into the eyeshadow there isn't any like powdery excess every time I dip the brush in, which is quite nice. So I'm going to leave the colour like that for now. I may build a little bit more into the crease as we go along, but for now I'm just going to leave that as the base colour. Okay, so starting off, I'm just taking the shade Heat. So I just want this to be angled where it will start from the shimmer and blend into the mattes and go into kind of like a smoky brown. I'm just angling this out in the outer corner, and then I'm also going to start to bring it in to the crease there. I'm just popping this brown shade all the way along the crease in towards the inner part of my eye. And I'm going to start to blend it out now with the PC47 brush from Peaches and Cream. It's just a really, really small blending brush. And I'm taking the shade Burnt, which is the rusty brown colour, and I'm going to blend out the edge of this dark brown. I'm just taking that first brush to buff out. I don't want it to be like too orange, so I'm just using that kind of rusty brown that we used in the crease first, just to kind of blend this out in towards the temples. So I don't know if you can see, it is ever so slightly a little bit patchy in this outer corner here where I put down that first shade of brown. I'm going to try and layer it up a little bit just to try and help it out a little bit because it's looking a little bit dry and patchy. They've not blended together the best. It's not as patchy now that I've just reapplied a little bit of that brown. It's still a little bit, like you can feel that it's not blending as smooth as what other shadows usually do, but it's not the worst. And then I'm also going to take a smaller blending brush by Morphe and I'm going to use the shade Bare, which is the lightest colour of the palette, and I'm going to just blend this right underneath the brow bone. One thing that I wish this palette had was an even darker brown, because I feel like that brown is not dark enough. Like I'd want an even darker brown to go in this outer corner, or even to kind of like smudge out some eyeliner maybe or something like that. But that brown is more of like a mid to dark brown, not a super dark brown, if that makes any sense. I do think that the fact that my eyes are naturally quite dry on the lid anyway isn't really helping anything, so I'm not going to hold it too much against the palette. I think shadows are really pigmented and they are blending, they're just settling a little bit on the areas I think that are most dry on my eyelids. Okay, so I think I'm going to layer the shade Revenge in that outer corner, and I'm just going to blend the outer edge of the matte shade in to that, just so it doesn't go like matte to shimmer and it's not got a soft blend in between. I'm applying that, it's in the centre of my eye but connecting the matte to the shimmer. And then I'm going to be using the metallic eyeshadow topper. This is an eye foil in the shade Faded. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a little bit of this on the back of my hand first and then take it with a brush. Whenever I use liquid eyeshadow or eye foils or anything like that, I always like to use a brush to apply them. Mainly because I just don't really know how they're going to apply onto the lid, whether it's going to move or budge any of the eye makeup. I'm taking just another little flat brush like this one from Morphe, and I'm going to start packing this on to the eye. I just put this on this side. I don't think you can see it from there, but watch when it applies. I feel like I expected that to be a lot more prominent. Look at it on the back of my hand, that's the kind of colour it is. And then on my eye, it's a really weird kind of consistency. Even in the wand, it looks as if it's going to be like quite a pigmented, rusty colour, and then as soon as you put it on the eye it's more of like a light wash of sparkle. So if that's the kind of look you're going for, then great. It's pretty, but I did expect it to be a little bit more of a colour than just a sparkle. Next, I'm going to be using the Wing Edition Stamp and Eyeliner Duo. So one end you have the eyeliner pen, and then the other end you have a little stamp to kind of do a wing. I'm not going to be using the stamp today, I'm just going to be using the pen end because I don't really know if I want a big wing. So I'm just going to apply this along the lash line. Really pigmented. I like the fact that it's quite a chunky pen because I find sometimes the little spindly ones are even harder to use. It was somewhat even, and I'm going to leave it at that. We also have the Lottie London Curl Boss Curling and Lengthening Mascara to try as well. This is obviously in the shade Black. I love trying a new mascara. So this one has got more of your synthetic kind of wand. Okay, I don't really like it. I feel like this mascara is better for more of your natural lashes. This one I feel like doesn't compare at all to my Benefit They're Real mascara. This one I probably wouldn't purchase again just because I feel like it's going to take me so long to achieve the kind of effect that my Benefit one would give me in half the amount of time. It's nice, it does the job, but it's not my favourite. I probably would only reach for this one if I'd run out of everything else. So I'm just going to clean up underneath my eyes, apply some false lashes, and then we will move on to the base makeup. I zoomed you guys out so you can see what we're going to do on my skin next. I have a primer and the Velvet Skin Tint to put on my face first. I have just moisturised with my Laura Mercier moisturiser. My skin is okay at the moment. I don't have any sort of dry patches. It is more on the normal to dry side. The primer that I'm going to use from them is the Illuminating Coconut Primer in the shade Golden. I wonder if it smells like coconuts. I really like the coconut scent, so that would be nice if it did. Oh, okay, it comes out fast. It's quite watery. I don't really know how much is too much. Very natural. Oh, it's like a nice subtle scent of coconuts. It's not like a sickly coconutty scent. It doesn't feel greasy on the skin, it doesn't feel wet, it doesn't feel dry, it's blending onto my skin quite nicely. So this would probably be nice for more the summertime when you're wearing something like barely there, probably just a little bit of concealer underneath the eyes and then a little bit of this on your skin to give yourself a little bit of a glow. But it's not the most glowy thing in the world, it is probably just a very faint kind of sheen. So moving on to the Velvet Skin Tint, I have 3 different shades that they sent over. Medium N025, light medium Y020, and then tan P030. I really like the packaging of it. It doesn't feel cheap or anything like that. I have the Dior Backstage Face and Body Foundation. It's in the exact same kind of packaging as this, and I really like it how it's a squeezy tube because you really can squeeze out every little inch. But what I'm gonna do, okay, when you shake it, this happens. So just be careful when you open it up. I wonder if the others did it too. Yeah, okay, put the lid back on. Light, medium. They all just kind of like erupt from the bottle when you open them. Medium, and then tan. So you can already see that I think the tan is going to definitely be too dark for me, but I think it could be a good colour for maybe the summertime, mixing with the lighter one maybe. It's got more of like a pinky undertone. I don't know if you guys can see that, but you compare it against the middle one, which is the shade medium. These two are definitely more of your yellowy undertone, and then this one has got ever so slightly a bit more pink to it. I don't know if that's because it's just a little bit dark. It kind of does match my fake tan, but I don't really want to be that dark all over my face, because I find when I match my face colour to the fake tan across my body, then I don't really have the room to apply bronzer and things like that. So I would rather go a little bit lighter all over my skin and look a little bit more natural, and then add more warmth in with bronzer. So I think what I'm going to do is mix these two shades together. The only thing I don't like about them is the fact that they do just kind of like erupt out of the bottle. You just have to be really careful when you open it. I think if I remember rightly, when I first used the Dior Backstage Foundation, that one, when I first started using it, did it too. So it could just be the packaging's fault, but that is something to note, that every time that you open it, I think that is probably going to happen, because that's what happened with my Dior one. What I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the Velvet Skin Tint on one side of my face with my brush and then the other side with my sponge. I have no idea what this product is like either. I haven't watched any sort of review of this beforehand because I really wanted my first impressions to be 100% genuine. So I don't know if this is more of like tinted moisturizer, because it leads you to believe in the name that it is like a tint. So I'm applying it on this side with my brush, and then I'll do the sponge on the other side. You don't need a lot actually, because they blend out quite well. Blends quite well on my forehead as well, and that tends to be my driest area. Okay, let's try it with the sponge. Obviously, as expected, the product is being absorbed by the sponge, so I am using a little bit more. I feel like there is only an ever so slight difference between the two in terms of coverage. I feel like I get more coverage with the brush than I do with the sponge. Let me just zoom you guys in so you can see. Hopefully you can see my skin there. So obviously this is the side that I used the sponge with. You can still see my skin through the product, so I would definitely say it is more of a tint than a full foundation, but I really do like the finish of it. It doesn't look dry, but it is definitely more on the natural side, whereas if you look at the side with the brush, it is a little bit more coverage. But I wouldn't say there's a huge difference. So as I said earlier, I don't have absolutely every single product from Lottie London today, so I'm going to finish off my base makeup with my concealer, my contour and my powder off camera, and then I'll be back to show you the rest of the products that I have from them as well. So I will be back in just a second. Moving on to blush now. Oh, I didn't realise this had a packaging on it. That off. This is their ombre blush in the shade Haze. This is my colour to a T. I absolutely love the packaging of the Lottie London products. I love the clear acrylic kind of vibe. I think it looks really, really nice, but it really is like an ombre effect. Can you see how it goes darker from the top to lighter at the bottom? This is just a couple of dabs into the product, so it looks as if it's going to be quite pigmented. I don't really mind going to town on blusher though, because I feel like by the time I put my highlighter on, it can look a little bit like non-existent, so I always like to start off with a bit more blush than you think you need. I really like this so far though. It is quite a bright blush, so you don't need a lot of it. I love the shade of it, how it's more of a coral colour. So the next product that I wanted to show you guys is their Lottie Freckle Tint. So this is their Temporary Freckle Skin Tint. I really, really, really like the packaging of this. I just really like the holographic reflecting on all of the packaging. I think it looks really pretty. We have some remnants of the shimmer eyeshadow has worked its way inside that packaging there, so I'm just going to wipe that off. A lot of people have spoken about this freckle tint to be a dupe for the freckle tint. I think I'm just gonna dot them on and see how we get on. Oh, could have just absolutely ruined my makeup there. I'm just gonna kind of I don't even know if I'm doing this right. Okay, that one is a big one. Oh, I hope I can somewhat fix that big blob. I feel like it does just look like I've made a load of mistakes on my face. The little ones I think look nice. I think the big one here, horrible. It looks so obvious. I look like Little Bo Peep or something. This side probably looks a lot better. I don't know, what do we think? Like, can you see that it's kind of like a reddy undertone? And I just don't think freckles look like that when they come through your skin. I think they look more of like a cooler brown undertone when they're coming through foundation. So I'm gonna finish off underneath my eyes with the eyeshadow palette before I do anything else. So I'm using that dark brown shade called Heat with a small little definer brush. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna run that along the lower lash line, and then using a small little blender brush I'm going to take that shade, I think it's called Raw. Yeah, Raw. Alright, so I do have a Oil Slick Nourishing Lip Oil to apply as well. I'm just going to do a little bit of lip liner first, and then we'll pop the lip oil on top. Ooh, I feel like it's a little bit pink. This is in the shade Extra Cherries. And then last but not least, we do have the Lottie London Dewy Setting Spray. I've heard a lot of good things about this one, but I've never tried it. Ooh, smells very fresh. quite a wet setting spray. My whole arm is like saturated and my whole desk is now wet. And hopefully it'll give me more of a dewy glow. Okay, so that is the makeup look all complete. My final thoughts on Lottie London as a brand. On a whole, I think they are a really nice brand. If I had bought all of these things, there would be a few things that I would probably not purchase again, but definitely a couple of things that I would. So my favourite things from the whole video is definitely the Velvet Skin Tint. I absolutely loved this on my face and I will definitely be using this more often. The blush, absolutely love it. As I said before, I am obsessed with this packaging. I really like the whole holographic Lottie London packaging as well. I think that's really, really nice. So yeah guys, on a whole, I really did enjoy using all of these Lottie London products, some of which I will incorporate into my everyday makeup routine or I will be using again on a regular basis. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out, as does leaving me a comment in the section below as well. Let me know what you thought about this video and let me know if you've tried any Lottie London products. Obviously, everything is going to be listed in the description box below. As always, please don't forget to subscribe before you leave. If you have made it here this far, thank you. Thank you so much for watching and for being here, and I really hope to see you in my next video. Bye!